So, friends, a very warm welcome to all of you. The Youth20 Engagement Group is planning to hold consultations throughout the country to consult young people across different professional groups, different age groups about what their vision for the future is and how do they wish to get there. Friends, the G20 presidency is India's moment. And this is the opportunity for Indian youth to get together and to brainstorm about ideas for a better tomorrow. Now, the Prime Minister's vision of India is that India be a Vishwa Guru. So, who is a Vishwa Guru? A Vishwa Guru, we would submit, is someone who or an agency that provides guidance to others. What that guidance might be. What is it that you would like to tell the world? I think that is what we are here to brainstorm about today. And I believe that India has a great deal to offer the world about models of living, provided we look closely at ourselves and provided we consult our lived experiences much more. So we can identify what it was that enabled the Indian economy to withstand the COVID shock. What is it that makes us so resilient? One of the things that is talked about is the India stack, the unique digital infrastructure that we've been able to build up, or the Aadhaar authentication, the DigiLocker, the UPI ID. All these are things that have helped to catalyze the digitization of Indian economy and have contributed in so many ways. So it has been a very serious force multiplier. What we would like to point out over here is that today perhaps the India stack looks like a given. But let's think back a bit to 10 years ago when it was emerging. There it was not a given. And yet, whenever we plan a portal of this kind, a infrastructure of this kind, we do need to imagine what the future might be like. And we need to build those interfaces now. If you were to build those interfaces several years later, that would make it much more complex and very difficult to do. The reason that India has been able to build the digital stack is not just because of the IT expertise that this country possesses, which of course it does possess in spades, but at the same time, it's because we were able to learn from the experiences of others. And I think we need to note the extensive consultations that went round over the years about how the Aadhaar project was to be structured. And I think that is one of the greatest strengths of India as a nation. That when we look at our process of decision making, every decision is preceded by very extensive consultations. A lot of the time, it does happen that all these discussions do delay decisions, but at the same time, we need to recognize that the decision therefore becomes that much more robust. So, going back 12 years, who would have said that the Aadhaar database should be interfaced with banking, that it should be interfaced with health? Yeah, but yes, that's how they structured it because there was so much dialogue among the stakeholders. And today, if the Aadhaar database has been able to interface with health to generate the unique CoWIN platform that has allowed us to vaccinate a billion plus people. So, that kind of thing is definitely India's strength. I also think that COVID has changed the way in which the world looks at us. It was a matter of wonder. And I don't think that many people expected that Indians would be able to both vaccinate themselves and provide a kind and caring society to all those who were affected by COVID. If the world has changed the way in which they look at us, I think it is high time that Indians also change the way in which we look at ourselves. In order to be a Vishwa Guru, in order to provide guidance to others, we need to have a high sense of self esteem. And I think that we need to stop this constant self flagellation that we like to indulge in. all societies have their faults, they have their warts, but they also have their strengths. And one can only build on what is strong. I think the strength of Indian democracy is something that needs to be recognized. Now, I have heard ever since I was a child about the concept of unity in diversity. But, friends, I would like to put it to you that human beings are diverse by nature. That's how we are structured. No two human beings are alike. So, I would say that what is unique about India is not that we are so diverse, all nations are. What is unique about India is that despite being so diverse, despite speaking so many different languages, I think we revel in our individuality. We are still able to pull along with each other. We are still able to live together, and we are still able to sustain the social fabric of India. And I think that when it is often said that the constitution is responsible for the strength of Indian democracy, it's important to distinguish between cause and effect. If the constitution is so strong, that is because Indians are like that. That is because a like of consensus and a dislike of coercion are part and parcel of our civilizational values. That is how the framers of the constitution made it. So, provided we look at ourselves, we understand our strengths, we build on those strengths, there is so much that we can offer. Indians are full of energy, they're full of innovation. I think the one respect in which we do need to do more is the ability to imagine a future for us. The future is unknowable, all of us know that. But at the same time, it is important that we try to think what it might be like, and once we do that, then we should be able to marshal the different resources, the different skills that might be required. Now, that is not a task for any one individual, it is not a task for a few individuals. It is a task that can only be accomplished if we work together, if we think together, if we brainstorm together. And that's why I was so very happy when I came across TiE and their offer to begin this brainstorming series. Because I think this model that TiE has about a mentoring network, I think that's key, and that is something which we really need above all in India. A mentoring network is what we need in order to build a learning ecosystem. How do we strengthen that ecosystem? In fact, this year the Department of Youth Affairs is planning to start a pilot project. This is for summer internships in 300 colleges pan India. There we are looking at undergrad students in the general courses. You know, the vast majority of students in India are there in general courses, that's BA, BSc, BCom, and very few of them are able to find an opportunity for a placement. So we are collaborating with different organizations to see whether it's possible to provide them with place them with small businesses, small, very small ones. And here what we really need is a mentoring network. So I would really like to know your ideas, your thoughts on this, and how can we take it forward. I think in the discussions in the last 10 years, the one thing that has become clear is that students at all levels need exposure to hands on experience, to experiential learning, and that is how they learn all the skills that are needed to not only make them better people but also make them more employable, and that contribute to their success. So it is this segmentation of knowledge that is for me a troubling thing. When we look back at Indian history, we find that Indians in the past have been powerful as a producer of goods. Indians' steel was weapons grade steel. It was sold as weapons grade steel for thousands of years. India had very significant contributions in the field of medicine. Today we like to talk about Ayurveda. It's not a coincidence that the largest steel producers in the world today are Indian. It's not a coincidence that Indian doctors are some of the best in the world. Here we are simply going back to old patterns that have persisted in our society. Indians produced very superior textiles. So that is what our primary achievement and accomplishment was. Yet when we look back at the 18th century, we find that all this production collapsed within the space of a mere 50 years. It collapsed once modern systems of creating efficiencies based on scientific research were discovered. In fact, we researched this puzzle a bit and we wrote a book about it a couple of years ago. It is called Making India Great Again, Learning from a History. In that book, we tell that it is basically the lack of a learning ecosystem, a lack of mentoring networks that has contributed a great deal to our problems in the past. When we look back 200 years ago, we find that Indian businessmen were some of the best in the world, they were some of the richest in the world. While the British East India Company learnt a lot from Indian business, the reverse did not happen. Normally, in history, we see spectacles of a weak nation losing to a powerful one. Here it was the reverse. Here it was a powerful nation that was losing out to a weak one. Basically, the world created newer pathways for moving ahead, and we seem to get stuck in some kind of rut. And in fact, I see many discussions that go on Facebook and so many other social media pages. They all say, so if India has so many accomplishments, then you should be able to make the world in your own image. How can we do that? How can we make the world in our own image? I think for that it is very important that we sit together in groups, that we brainstorm about what a better future might be, and we think and debate about how to get it. Our book is a chronicle of how a great nation, a powerful society can lose out to others because it is unable to imagine what the future might be. That is our task, to imagine what the future might be and how do we get there, how do we become a better people, a better society, a happier, more inclusive society, and a great nation. Thank you all.